Tell me what you're excited about right now.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited for the year end. 2019 has been unbelievable. We've been very fortunate. Broke every single record possible. We've had individuals at the company have set. I think we had the last time we checked, there were 18 loan officers to set their all-time records.
Wow.
This year. So 2019 has been very great to Wailing Wood and us. But mostly excited to see the growth in the people in the market in the area.
Yeah, that's great. So, did you expect that, or did you set that goal, or did it just those people exceeded their own goals?
Maybe a little bit of all the above. Like I think a lot of the people, we sit down with the loan officers, at the beginning of the year, and I think a lot of people had their goals in mind. I think we all, in this market right now, it's hard to understand what's going on. I think that the rates can change from the morning to the afternoon with the market shift. The refi market definitely helped a lot of them. But I think overall, you expect and want the success and you want it, but you also don't. It's not a given. But I think that from overall, when you look at what everybody has done themselves, I think that everybody put in the work. We've put things in place, and we've been fortunate enough with things surrounded that have kind of fallen in place that we've been able to take advantage of. So, I would say that not to sound arrogant about it or anything, but you expect it, or you should hopefully expect it.
Yeah, that's great. So, what I think is really cool the way you've structured, and probably you may not admit it, but what it seems like a lot of those loan officers have almost, they feel like it is their company, right? They have their own company, and that's kind of the way I've wanted to structure my business as well, with real estate agents coming on. But it seems like you've given them autonomy. So you have this community feel, right? And we'll get into community later about Whiteland community and how you've grown in other communities, but you've given loan officers, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've put them in a position in each community to build their own business, right? And without fear of them growing so big and leaving.
Right.
I probably need to stop that because I don't know where I was going with the question.
No, I get where you're going, but I'll just cut you off. I get where you're going. So it's like the Richard Branson thing.
Yeah.
You want to treat them well enough that they stay, or train them well enough they stay, or that they could leave or whatever, or treat them well enough that they won't leave. So I butchered that quote, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but no, I think when you look at every loan officer, I was given a chance back in the day, and you can't bring somebody on, want them to grow, on the fear that they're going to leave you.
Yeah.
And it's tough because in our industry, that as people grow, people want to do their own thing, and you have to clap and reward them, and you just hope that you treat them well enough they don't want to they leave, but it is their own business. I view it. I mean, it's very. As a loan officer, you're kind of you're self-driven. So as a company, we're going to give you every resource possible to make sure you're successful. Some people take advantage of those resources better than other people do.
Yeah.
But everybody has a different goal in their mind. So for this, a loan officer, in certain areas they may be, hey, I want to make X, Y, Z, and I'm good with that. That doesn't mean that person's any less of a person. This person over here that maybe wants more. It's just everybody has their own unique systems. So for me, it's kind of, to use a sports analogy, you can't plug somebody in that has these talents and try to fit them in this system because they may not be successful in that system. You have to change your system and be flexible enough to take advantage of each individual's strengths. And that's, to me, what we try to do, is to say, hey, we're not going to try to pigeonhole you. You have to do this. Here's all these things that are available to you. Let's see what best lines up with you or whatever, and then let's try to get a market plan for you in a certain area and try to see how we can play off your strengths and then build your business.
Okay.
But that, I would say, that's probably, I would like to think that's our strongest point, is that we really get behind, and you have to have the belief in those people, and hopefully all that comes into play and they see what you do for them and they stick around. And we've been really fortunate that a lot of people have been with us for a long time.
Yeah, and even after. When I worked for you, I had the same thought in my mind, was, if I'm in the mortgage industry, I'm here, right?
Right.
I'm staying here. And then I got onto the real estate side.
Right.
So, but so many people, the loan officers I currently work with at your company too, they say the same thing. I'm going to be here until I either die, retire, or change industries.
Right.
And so do you think that structure that you've put in place has led to that? Or what do you think has created such loyalty in such a family environment in your company?
I think that's a big part of it, is that you let people grow. The biggest thing too, from an employee standpoint, you want to have your voice heard.
Yeah.
You want to feel like you matter. And for us, we do sit down with employees. Like when you were there, it's an open door policy. So like, I'm not sitting behind a door.
Yeah.
I'm in the office, which is key in being involved. But I will seek out people and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And I actually welcome and try to seek out the people that aren't going to agree with me.
Yeah.
So I actually prefer the people that will buck the system. And I think that's the hardest part for some people, because when you come into business, you can't go in to say you've got all the answers, because none of us have all the answers.
Yeah.
It's impossible. And especially in our industries, it changes. Guidelines change every day. Certain things, you could be talking to a client or showing a real estate, things could change 2 minutes later because the market, tanks, or something, a house over here sells for way less than it should, or more. Things are constantly evolving, so you can't you can't sit there and again go back to try to say, okay, this is exactly the way it is, it's going to be this way, and be stagnant in your ways, because if you do, that's going to turn people off. But I think it's more about getting employees or people to buy into what you believe. So when we do the events that we do in the community, it's not, sure, you're getting your name out there. We'd all be lying if you said you didn't do that because you want your name out there. But you do it, it's a bonding experience. So, it's a good, heartfelt thing that we do, and people get behind it, but we let them kind of, spread their wings, and it's some of our best ideas. Probably 95% of the company's policies I didn't think of. There's no doubt in my mind. I'm not that smart. It's more of where I believe I'm smart is just listening.
Yeah.
So it's, you hire good people, but you then, it doesn't make any sense to go hire somebody with talent and then not listen to those people.
Yeah.
You don't bring somebody in with talented and just sit there and be like, hey, you're going to do it my way.
Yeah.
Then you're defeating, you're fighting yourself against your own purpose. So I think, to me, if I could give any advice to anybody business-wise, what I've learned, because I've made the same mistakes, we all have, is just, listen. I mean, listen and watch. There's every single company, we take things, the other companies do say, and I'm like, you know what, tip your cap to your competitors. If you like something that they do, hey, tip your cap, and that's fine. But you're going to put your own spin on it. It happens to us. We'll do that. I mean, there should be no sense of, you got to have some sense of humility, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah. So when you're hiring those people, right, you said that's how you're going to keep them. But hiring, is there a certain person you're looking for, or a certain attribute or mentality? What are you looking for when you're hiring?
I'm looking for somebody that isn't, it's, you almost, I call it borderline, OCD.
Yeah. So
we joke about it, but I want somebody that is a free mind, to where they don't feel, because for us it's not a job. If you need to know that you're gonna be at work at 9 o'clock and you're leaving at 5 and you're hitting the time card, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're one of those people that you got to be able to shut this is the wrong industry for you, obviously, as you know.
Yeah.
Your phone's gonna ring at 11 o'clock, midnight sometimes, or on the weekends and those things. You got to almost, in a weird way, enjoy the ride. So you got to be built a little differently. You have to want to have that little bit of free spirit, to where hey, all right, and thinking, hey, the phone's ringing, that's money, I got to be able to help people. You got to really enjoy it. And it's, sometimes we jokingly say it's a sick factor that some people would love to be bothered, but there has to be a part of you that really enjoys the ride. But mostly for me, it's a competitive nature. What I've found is the people that are succeeding, whether it's like, okay, like you played, sports in college and football, that part. So there's a competitive nature, because those people generally have a little more drive. And then that's probably the number one factor I try to see. And but that, or somebody that wants to be challenged, and then somebody that wants to learn. The rest of it, I feel like our system could almost take anybody the way it's at.
Yeah.
And you can getting the loan stuff is the easy part. It's more about building your brand, building you, and getting people to trust you to be able to send their business to you.
Yeah. And I've noticed that about your company, is it's not so much, it's not, everyone isn't the same. There's like no one that's the same. Everyone is so different in the beliefs and what they like to do, and how they go about their business, which I envy, because it's, like I was saying before, you're able to take those people and put them in their community, right? So whether it's we can get in a community here, whether that's in Whiteland, right? Or whether it's Mooresville, or down in Columbus, or up on the north side. If you ask people in those communities, for me, a lot of my clients don't even know that Bailey & Wood is like this big company, right? Because it seems like such a small company, the way the business is conducted, and the way the loan officers act, and the way they're branded, and all of that. And so I guess, was that a strategy for you guys as you were growing, was to be almost like 15 different small companies in these different communities, or did it just evolve that way when you got those loan officers on?
Probably a little bit of both. So like
Yeah.
for us, when we were getting started out, I started out on the north side of Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and it wasn't nothing. It's north side, but it wasn't home for me. So
Yeah.
when you're starting out a business, the first thing you want to do is go to people that know you. So I brought it back to my hometown of Whiteland.
Okay.
So when I brought that back, it was at least okay. People know who we are. We're talking. It kind of at least started to get an idea of the community feel and start doing those things. But for me, it started out seeing that, okay, I wanted to give back. I went to Whiteland High School, so I wanted to give back to the high school. I wanted to give back to the people that, helped me along the way, and where we could. And seeing those things kind of work. But it was then about, it's one thing to say I'm going to open an office in this city, but you really have to dive into, each city is different. So when you're talking about that, I do view it like, okay, so for like David Navness down in Seymour, for instance, and he has done a great job of really diving in and being a part of that local community at the schools levels, giving back to the teachers and the schools and the fire departments, the police departments, all those things, and becoming a part of that community. So it is a reverse effect. So yeah, you have this business, but I don't like to brand it, and it's in each company's different. So without saying the names, I mean, you can put your name in lights on certain places and do that. And, you can sponsor, multi-million-dollar athletes and those things. But for me, it's more important. I think back, I'd rather have my kids sponsored or be in local communities and really dealing and having your hands more in the community of the people that are using you.
Yeah.
And I think that you just create more of a bond that way.
Yeah.
So when we're doing those things, it's just, to me, I would rather give back. I feel like I can make more of an impact that way. And maybe that nationally, if we'd have no thoughts of ever going nationally. It's all about Indiana for us. So it's like, we want to make sure that when people think that, hey, these guys are from Indiana, they care about Hoosiers, and that's what it is. But the best compliment we could ever have is that, hey, I know a guy.
Yeah.
So it's those things, but that's what we want. We don't want to be professional, like, hey, bankers. We don't want to be like, hey, every market stuff. We just want to be like, hey, these are really good guys, and that's, if I get that compliment, it's the best compliment I could get.
Yeah, which is so true, and just the way the business operates from. Now I've seen both as an employee and as a real estate agent, and my clients are going through the process. So it rings so true to, everything that we've spoke about, just to the community feel. It feels like it's not just another loan. It's not just another transaction and doing it's this for Bailey and Wood. It seems that they're investing in the community with every single loan and every single interaction that you guys have.
That's the way we try to review it. So it's one of those things that when we go back and we do a loan, no matter what city it's in, we try to then, parlay that into, hey, okay, great, you work for so-and-so, that's the community. We try to learn about where they're from, why are they moving to Noblesville, why are they moving to Greenwood, and then we try to do whatever we can. And then we try to get involved in every single aspect of the community, no matter where it's at, and it's more of us saying thank you, and it really is, because we understand that they can go anywhere and get a mortgage. They can use a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Why do they want to use Jake for real estate? Why do they want to use Bailey Wood for mortgages? It's hopefully because, you know what, I think you're a great guy, and they feel comfortable. Again, it goes back. That's the feeling that you want, and I feel like the larger you are, and with technology is it's a great thing. But it's also like an evil, and so to speak, because it's so easy to manipulate clients. It's so easy for them to get caught up in, oh, this looks like this, and not understand the process. So for us, it's still to the point where we want to talk on the phone. We want them to understand. We want to make sure that they fully understand what they're doing. For most people, it's the biggest transaction they're ever going to have in their life. So for me, I never want to lose that small field where it's like, listen, hey, you know what? You've got one of our guys in the corner. No matter if it's at 10 o'clock at night, you're going to pick up the phone. You're going to talk to somebody live. We've got hotlines now. So we even encourage our people, if they have a question, they can talk to their loan officers' bosses. All of us are free for that. So when we answer the phone, it's because, imagine, you're sitting there buying, you really don't know anything. It's hard for us because you've been in the industry and you're kind of like, oh, it may seem simple, but some of the questions, they keep somebody up at night. And I tell clients all the time, you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I wonder if, do I need to do this? Do I need to, is that loan okay? So technology is great. We'll feed miles, updates to them. But I always tell them, pick up the phone. It's probably literally a 30-second conversation. If it helps you sleep at night, That's the difference. It's taking that extra mile, but it's all about the personalization. And, technology is great. You got to have it, and we do. But it's also keeping the real factor into to play into anything.
Yeah. And so on the personal level, personal and community, you guys give back a ton to the community, not just in every event that you do. I mean, it seems like even the ones that are just for fun are for the community, right?
Yeah.
And so you guys are having fun, but you're giving back to the community. Do you know off the top of your head how much you guys have contributed back to the community?
So since we started, we started really doing since '09, roughly right around there. So like about 10 years, we're at like 1.3 million.
Wow.
So
$1.3 million is what you guys have.
Baileywood has donated back throughout Indiana.
Yeah.
It's all over of charitable events, and then now with the Hometown Hero stuff that we're doing, it's actually getting revved up even more.
Yeah. And so tell me about the Hometown Hero.
The Hometown Hero is a program that started, luckily, by our also marketing department to give back to teachers, anybody that works at a hospital. And I think so. It's the most expansive. There are other hero programs out, and you'll see things advertised, but it's the most expansive. We have. You could be a janitor at a hospital and you qualify. If you work for the city, county, road worker, or whatever, you qualify. So it's everyday heroes is what we like to call them. And then we take it a step further because we give them discounts, we give them credits at closing. But not only that, but we also now do Bailey's Hometown Hero of the Month, where we actually find somebody in the community, or maybe it's a cool story, that we go out, we feature them, we give them gifts, maybe donate to the cause. We've had people that, the Epilepsy Foundation, another good one we just recently had, and the mom, son suffered from epilepsy, and she became a support leader and was raising funds. So we supported the cause, donated money for them, and took some money, and we had employees pitch in on that on top of the company match. So our employees are really buying into it, and they're just really great, fun stories. We had a kid that we considered him a hometown hero. He did Michael Jackson Thriller at elementary school, and it was just amazing because a kid has Down syndrome and he's smarter than 90% or has a better heart than 90% of the people I've ever met. And it was all about dancing, and all he wanted to talk about was his dad, who had some health problems. Yeah. And it's hard because you even get emotional thinking about it. But it's just really cool because you get out and you get to meet people, and it's really uplifting stories. So when we go out and do these things, it is, like you said, it's a lot of fun. You're getting your name out, but you're be able to give back, and it really does make your heart warm. And the people that work there, they enjoy doing it because it's an uplifting experience. And then we partnered with Wish TV8, and we're doing the Golden Apple Award, which is really, really awesome. So it's an extension of our Hometown Hero program to where they're surprising a deserving teacher every single month, like a live surprise on TV going in, and we donate the actual award and then give them $500 for their school supplies, and to kind of help them there. But it's just telling some cool stories, and getting the name out there of people that maybe wouldn't get the recognition as they deserve. And honestly, it's a small way of saying thanks to those people that make so many sacrifices, our veterans in that part. And obviously we've got 3 or 4 veterans that are very key to our hearts that work for us. So it's one of those things that that's a big part of what we do too.
That's incredible. I didn't actually know all that. I knew you had some programs, but I didn't know all the details.
Yeah, I feel like it's evolving it's growing and evolving and more, and there's a lot of things on horizon for 2020. So we're even building more into that. So we hope to continue to grow it, and this will be the first year, since it's the first year of the Hometown Hero. So at our holiday bash that we do every year, this will be the first year we're actually going to have our Hero Champion of the Year, which is unbelievably hard. I can tell you that when we sat down, there were tears flowing because everybody wants, everybody had their emotions drawn to this one, and it was fighting internally because they're all heroes. So it's like, but it's just cool to see. So then at our holiday bash, the money that we raise that for admission fees will all go to the hero cause. So all of that will then go to whichever one is lucky enough to win.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's going to be cool.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
So in terms of you mentioned growth, do you have a specific plan for growth for your company, or do you have I know there are companies out there that are growing like crazy, and there are companies out there who have grown like crazy and it hurt them, right? So what is your plan, or do you just kind of let it happen organically?
I think that's what you just hit on the end. It's organic strategic growth. So obviously if the right person came along, you're never going to say no, let's be honest. But at the same time, no, we're very strategic about areas. We don't want to have 10 loan officers calling on one little small area, because we have the opposite effect. We want to have our support team grow.
Yeah.
We grow more in support staff because we want our salespeople, who are less in numbers than the competitors, to have so much support staff that they can do more. Because ultimately it does two things. It lets them make more money, and it's more loyalty at that point, but they're building their base up. I'd rather have a smaller team all making really good money, have good support and happy, than people cutting each other's throats because they're tripping over themselves. And that's my philosophy. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's just my personal belief. I would rather have a lot of people taken care of. It's so personal when we hire anybody. It doesn't matter if it's a secretary or the salesman, because it's so much personally invested. Like when we hire somebody, it's like, okay, we have to make sure this person succeeds.
Yeah.
And if we hire somebody, that's myself, that's Ton, our operations manager, that's Corey, our sales manager, all of us are crossing that off the list. Like, we've all bought in. So we don't hire anybody without, basically, we call it the 4 check marks, and we're all saying, okay, we're all in. That way we all feel accountability to make sure that person's successful.
Okay.
And for us, it is personable. So it's if somebody's struggling, if they're not there, then we're taking it on the chin. We're okay, what do we got to do? We got to make sure this person succeeds. So when you're growing, it's difficult because you want to expand. Sure, you want to grow. You constantly, because our industry is one of those things. If you're not growing, you're going backwards. It's very hard. We've been lucky. We've grown by 25 to 30% in terms of gross loan volume for the last 4 years in a row. But a lot of that is because we have people that are doing more. It's not that, we've been fortunate enough to add some people that are extremely well, big hitters and so forth. But it's more because of the base people we have are now doing more.
Yeah.
Which that is the most prideful thing to me. Is because, okay, if you're growing organically from hard work, and people are getting better. It's not that I'm going out saying, okay, let's grab this person for our numbers can get better. Yes, there's part of that. You always have to do that, but it's because the hardcore people are getting better themselves.
Yes.
And that's honestly the best way, I feel, to grow, is just to improve the people that are already there, already bought in. And I think the easiest thing to do from a company is, hey, let me go grab this person. He does X, Y, Z. Let me grab this person. Let me try to do whatever I can. And you're forgetting about the people that have been there since day one. They're a part of that.
Yeah, it's more of a, let's get as many people as we can. And if they all do one loan a year, right, then we'll make a lot of money.
Right, from a company standpoint, that sounds great, but then you're forgetting about the individual.
Oh, absolutely. And so they're leaving left and right, and they feel like they're just one of a million, and if they leave, no big deal.
Right.
Yeah. So getting now, we've talked about the community, we talked about your company and all these things that you guys are doing. But now personally, if you're doing all these events, if you said you're available and your staff is available till late hours of the night, right? How does that affect you personally and with your family?
Well, my hair is disappearing at a fast level. Thanks. But no, I think it's my wife and family have been extremely supportive. They understand it. She's been around since day one. So, I mean, she's seen it, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all that. But she's been, and it's huge. You have to have that support system. Your family has to be your biggest cheerleaders, and the people, they understand, they know it. There's nights to where my kids will come have dinner with me at the office. You have to think outside the box and do different things, and surely there's sacrifices made. And that's the hard part about our industry, is that you're not going to have the white picket fence, eat your cake and all that things too. You're not going to be able to do that, but it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But you got to have that base. You have to have an understanding. And for me personally, I think she understands, the passion, and some things that's, she runs marathons, and that's her thing. Yeah. So, everybody has their thing. For me, it's business. And then, we all have those places we got to go or whatever, but it's really having open lines of communication. And it is. I'd be lying if I said it doesn't take a toll on you, because like anything, mentally, it's not a physical thing. It's more of a mental drain. But having the kids helps for sure. It doesn't matter how good you think you had it; they will humble you real quick. Kids will knock you down real quick. But no, I think that you get your energy from the family in that part. But no, I can't. I have zero complaints on that. It's. As we continue to grow and do those things, but as you continue to add good people, it kind of the more good people you have and the more people that buy in, it does take less stress because you have belief in the system and the people behind you that enable you to free some things up. And if you're a control freak like I am, it's hard to let certain things go. So it takes special individuals for me to take a step back. But when you have Tons and Corey's and Chads and these guys that you just know, and you have your belief system there, it makes life easier to be able to do that.
Yeah. How do you find those people? I mean, hiring, you talk about overall hiring, but like, how do you find someone that you're willing to give all your life's work and hand it over to, right? And let them run the show.
That's the hardest part, because I think some of that, I think maybe it sounds bad initially, but I think that the problem, like the society right now, everybody has that, there's a lot of people have the feeling that something should be handed to them. Mm-hmm. So you don't want those people. You got to find the people that are looking at you like, I want what you have. And you can't be scared. So for instance, when I'm talking to somebody and they're looking at me, and you always have that cliche like, where do you see yourself? Well, I want your job. I want to sit where you're at. I love that. That sounds great. But do you? Yeah. And that's the first question I have. When I ask somebody or interview them, I'm saying, what is it that you want? One of the common things, well, I want to make 6 figures plus. Okay, all right. Have you thought about what it takes, what that looks like? And then you'll see their eyes open up, and you're like, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to do this. This is the sacrifice. Are you ready to do those things? And you'll find out pretty quickly. But what's funny is the people that rise to it, it's the ones that, the people that I mentioned it's not about them. It's about, hey, I believe in what's surrounded around me. Those people are special. And those people, I think it comes with time. It's hard. You're not going to go pick a best friend off the street, so to speak. And that's the way you kind of look at it. Those things people show you. And we joke about it all the time, but Corey's a great example of, I knew his brother, and I started working with his brother 20-something years ago. It was like when I first came, and Corey's completely involved. Like, so some people, are switch positions, and hey, they wasn't, not a great originator, and he's an unbelievably great manager. I mean, you've dealt with him, but, and to watch certain people evolve, they evolve because they do it. It's not because, there's people that work for some of our most successful people that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't want to hire. So I was completely wrong. Yeah. So you're going to be wrong. Yeah. But it's to have the thing of, okay, if you disagree, or, if Ton says yes, Corey says yes, we're going to do that. It's not dwelling on the fact that you're wrong. It's like, hey, embrace the fact that you were wrong. Yeah. And then how are you going to take that and make it into a good thing? There's way more success stories that I was initially wrong on than the opposite. Wow. So
who was right?
Generally Ton. I'm going to go ahead and just throw that out there. The woman's always right. But no, like she's dead. There's certain ones, but we've all, she'll tell you the same thing. She's had wrong. Nobody's perfect. And I think that's the thing that everybody gets like hung up on is like, listen, it is impossible to have a 100% hire rate that's perfect. You can take a really successful person, drop them in a company, and they may do the numbers, but it changes your culture. It changes who you are. Well, then you sell out, and it's like, okay, then you can take a successful person, and there is truthfully such a thing as addition by subtraction. Yeah. And taking, I don't want to say bad seed, but taking somebody that maybe doesn't fit the model or that can go over here and easily be successful over here, you actually get better because it doesn't fit your culture or dynamic. And it's hard because in our industry, everything's driven by numbers, profits, bottom lines, and those parts. And I think the thing that's helped us is we've got away from letting that be the driving factor. For us, number one is culture. Number one, you either buy into the culture, you buy into who we are. So if you do that, the numbers actually will come. So, but it is, for us, we changed that, we've changed the way we've gone about it, and it's just dramatically different.
And so what kinds of things do you do to make sure that culture remains? Outside of, obviously people buy into and they love giving back to the communities, and that's probably a big factor. They feel like they're rallying together to give. But is there something else that you do you check in on people or certain events or for just employees or what do you do?
So we've started, so we have our big meetings every month. We've got pitch-ins, we've got fun times where we're always giving things away. Contests, people do that. But we do a lot of stuff for just employees, as like we'll take trips. We'll do like take a bus over to a Cubs game, everybody kind of hang out, have a good time, or we'll Tala does a really great job because she'll organize like games and events, and we've had trivia days where like we're sitting there and we play games or scavenger hunts, just fun activities. Or sometimes we just go out in the parking lot, and we've had food trucks come in and ice cream, and everybody just go out and detox for a couple hours, but generally, there's some kind of humiliation game that me and Corey somehow get dragged into, whether we're taped to a fence or they're throwing pies at her face or something like that. So it's just really keeping it relaxed to where, it's a cliche to say it, but like you want your business to be your family, but it is.
Yeah.
Like it truthfully is. Like, I mean, there's people I can walk through the halls. There's a lot of razzing going on. You have people there, but, everybody's thoroughly concerned. Everybody, you can't walk down the hall without somebody saying, hey, how's it going? You've experienced a little bit. Hey, how's it going? Or, hey, preppy, little boy, you dress really nice. It's one of those things. It's like, you're going to have people blow you some smoke every now and then, but that's what makes it special. You have those people, and they're writing you when it's good, but they're also there. It's like, hey, man, you're having a tough time. Hey, what do you need?
Yeah.
And I witnessed just the other day, and Grant's one of our loan officers, has been with us for a long time, and we got a newbie in there, and he could just, all he did was walk by, and he saw the guy kind of like pound on the keyboard, and what makes me feel great is like he just walks in, says, hey, what's going on? He gets nothing from that, except, but he's the kind of guy, so he helps out a fellow coworker. That's what excites me. That's what I love the most, is because you see people helping each other, not because it's for them, it's because it's just the right thing to do, and you buy into that family and that culture, and it's tremendous. That's the thing I'm honestly the most proud of, hands down, is just the people that we've got.
Amazing. And so if you were to start over, do it all over again, is there something you would do differently?
Wow,
a different approach, or
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say no. Just because I think all of the mistakes that I made have led to where it's at now. I think that's kind of the thing where everybody's like, oh, if I didn't do this, sure, would I want to go through the rough times? Well, no, of course, I would love to make it happen. But I don't think if I didn't go through that, and if I didn't make the mistakes that I made, we wouldn't be where we're at. Yeah. So I think that it's learning from the mistakes is probably the most important part of going through it. Because if we didn't, then I'm right to make that mistake now. If I cut that out, I never learned that lesson. It's on the horizon, which then, as you grow, that mistake will be magnified. So all the mistakes early on when you're first starting out business-wise and you're learning, at least it was small enough to where it didn't impact you. You're like, oh man, I shouldn't be doing this, or hey, okay, that was a really bad hire, or hey, okay, I screwed up personally here, I should have handled this better, or something along those lines. At least it's not to the point where it's magnified now. So trying to learn, you got to embrace it. And, that's one of those things. It's, like you were an athlete, and nothing, it's not like you walked on the field one day and just started, kicking everybody's butt in football. Yeah. It took, OTAs, your two-a-days, and, all these things. And you're like, okay, all right, well, you're getting hit in the mouth over. And then you're like, oh, okay, I threw this. I should have done it this way or whatever. But that just preps you better for the long run. So it's hard. And I've been asked that question a bunch before. And I always just come back to it. I'm like, I don't think I would change anything.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to do some things again, but you're glad they happened.
Correct. Yes, absolutely.
Where you are.
Yeah,
absolutely understand that. And so I have two last questions, kind of hypothetical. But first, I want to recognize you for all that you do in the community, for being such a great leader and setting an example for people like me that are trying to become leaders. And that's what this podcast is truly about, to highlight people like you and to thank you for all that you've done. So thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. And so what impact do you want to leave on, or let's say it's your last day. Yeah. What impact do you hope to have left on your family, community, employees?
It's going to sound super cliche, but like when my time is done, I literally want to be known as like, hey, he was a really good dad and a good guy who got it. As simple as that is, like, hey, the guy got it. He was thankful for, and understanding that it isn't me. Like, there's no achievement. There is no me. It's us. It's a team. I just want to know that, hey, he was part of something good that just got the overall part of, hey, trying to spread good as much as possible. And that's it. That's good enough for me. Honestly, if my kids can look back and say, hey, he wasn't a horrible father. Yeah. And he taught me some things, and that and the people in the community just know, like, hey, he was a good guy that gave back and tried to help. I'll take that. Yeah. Well, then just keep doing what you're doing now. You're there. And then the last is, what do you, or I guess, what's your definition of a good leader? I actually think a definition of a good leader, who and I think back to people that is humility's number one. Humility's number one. And you know, there's an old Ronald Reagan quote that just said that, you know, a great group of people that can achieve more, and a man can achieve more by not caring about getting the recognition. And I think in today's society, and as we've grown, everybody is driven to me. It's about that. And I just think that getting back, if you've got a leader, it's somebody that's understand that one person is nowhere near as powerful as an army.
Yeah.
And you know, that's the part. I would rather all day long have a huge team and be super powerful of doing good than being acknowledged as one man trying to do great by himself.
Yeah.
And I think the understanding that it isn't about you is the number one trait. It starts there. So, you know, you can't use, hey, I'm going to do this. You know, oh, did you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
It isn't that. It's, you know, and I think you can pick off, for me, you can pick off good managers or good leaders when they start out explaining how good their people are. If they start out saying, hey, you know, I did this and this is what I want to do or whatever, it shouldn't, first thing out of their mouth should be, did you see what Ton was doing? Did you see how awesome Corey is, or Grant, or, you know, any of these people that work? It should start there, because you should want to empower those that are getting you there, because none of us are getting to where we want to without these people. So for us, or for anybody that, you know, as you grow, and you'll be there. So I mean, as I'm saying, you know, you have this thing is just understand it's so much easier with a family, with a support team, and a team around it, and it's just embracing it. And it's kind of like, I can't believe I'm getting ready to say this and give them credit, but it's the New England Patriots way, unfortunately. And I hate the Patriots, we all do. But it's it's one of those things when you look at it, it's like, man, it's that culture talk, that buy-in, and you know, you never hear the old cliche sayings that, you know, hey, it's about the team, it's the next, and those things, and it seems to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me, it's humility. Though is number one. It's number one.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Appreciate it, guys.